Now, our first speaker for the negative is a true inspiration. Afflicted at an early age with a severe case of beauty, she refused to let herself be pigeonholed and disadvantaged, even after the crippling blow of winning Miss Universe Australia. She continued to strive to overcome her debilitating prettiness and has gone on to become a swimming champion, a competitive surf lifesaver, a tireless campaigner for the Leukemia Foundation, and a television producer and presenter. She's here today to argue for the negative, but I'm sure it's going to be an overwhelmingly positive experience for us all. Please welcome the very lovely Kimberley Busteed.
Thank you. Need I remind you that we all arrived here at 8 o'clock this morning and we have been in hair and makeup since, so that's probably why we look as beautiful as we do. Now, when our team met to consider the proposition that corporate women need to mind the gap, we rattled off loads of gap. We had a ball, didn't we? We talked about the wage gap, the gender gap, the credibility gap, gap analysis, generation gap. The list went on and on and on. We were having a great time. Hours, in fact, I think. When the penny dropped and we realised, hang on, we haven't done anything. We haven't progressed anywhere. We've wasted so much energy worrying about something that focused on the negative that we hadn't progressed at all. We'd gone backwards. Helen Keller, author and political activist, once famously said, when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so closely at that closed door that we miss the one that's open before us. We acknowledge the affirmative teens' assertion that gaps have been part of our history. In fact, we owe a great debt to the trailblazing feminists who identified the gap and took a stand against it. That stand was the impetus for the creation of International Women's Day, which we celebrate with such pride tomorrow. But many years on, in 2013, there are two issues at play. Firstly, a new generation of corporate women don't see or tolerate the gap, and to force them to continuously look back on it is such a big step backwards. And going backward is something our suffragette sisters would not have approved of. Secondly, a new generation of neuroscience tells us that what your mind focuses on is reinforced. Focus on the gap, you simply reinforce it, and there's no way we are signing up for that. I was born in the late 80s, 88 to be precise, and ever since I can remember, I was told that I could be anything I wanted to be. Sure, the pageant wasn't mum and dad's idea of the perfect career path, but not once did they say don't do it. They said we'll be here no matter what. My mum gave me the belief not that I'd win the pageant, but that I should, I could, and I was meant to reach for the stars. My mum and dad taught me to have dreams and to travel and to push boundaries and to test the waters, to live, to learn. They instilled that way of thinking in me because their working class society had already well and truly formed their attitudes. If a man can do it, so can a woman. If a white man can do it, so can a black man and an Asian man, an Italian, a Mexican, and a friendly old Aussie. They taught me to have an open mind and that the sky was to be my limit. To tell you the truth, it took part of me being in this debate, researching this topic and spending time with these amazing women, Karen and Mary, to realise that there was a gap, to acknowledge, I should say, that there was a gap, because I'm not programmed to focus on one. And neither do other corporate women my age who shape opinion today and who will be the dominant players in the workforce in a very short period of time, which brings me to my second point. Research findings of modern neuroscience tell us that you need to be careful about your thoughts, your judgments, and your viewpoints. If you focus your mind on something you don't want, you actually strengthen the neural networks containing the image of that something. Worry is actually a very powerful form of negative goal setting. I mean, think about it. The more you worry about something, the stronger the neural networks containing your worries become. And the stronger those physical networks, the more likely your subconscious mind will drive you to take actions that actually push you towards what you're worried about. Essentially, the more you worry about something, the bigger it gets. We are so conditioned to believe that there are boundaries and the rules. I mean, look at all of you. I was watching you eat entree. Every single one of you in this room ate with your outside knife and fork. Why? Because that's etiquette. That's the rule. That's what we've been told for years and years that we have to do. Let me pose this question. What's going to happen if you close your eyes and you pick up any utensil in front of you to dig in? Will you die? Will you injure yourself? Will it taste different? Do you think Sarah Blakely of Spanx fame became the youngest self-made woman to join the Forbes billionaires list by minding the bloody gap? She overcame 3 major phobias. heights, fear of flying, and stage fright, and failed the law school entry test twice. She didn't keep worrying about a gap. She focused on what she could do. She built a billion-dollar empire and to this day has donated $17.5 million to charities supporting women and children. Minding the gap has worked to a point, but it's simply not working now. Now is the time to alter our thinking and to just get on with the job. I mean, life is hard enough, you have to agree, without overcomplicating things. So I ask the question, are we scared? Are we scared of what will happen if we let go of old mindsets? And I say, yeah, we are. It's our light, not our darkness, that most often frightens us. Look at the first 2 years of life. We're unhindered. We're constantly encouraged. We're inquisitive. We eat everything, often things we're not meant to eat. We learn to speak. We learn when not to speak. We learn what burns, what tastes good, what smells good, what feels good. We're limitless. So why did we stop? How many of you have recently taken a leap, have gone out on a limb, not knowing whether your hopes and dreams will be realised? The gap stops us from letting go and pushing boundaries, from running without limits, and from setting goals bigger than we could ever imagine. I often get asked what my favourite quote is, and I can't go past Albert Einstein. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I'd like to leave all of you with another one from American Cosmetics Queen Mary Kay. Aerodynamically, the bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly, but the bumblebee doesn't know that, so the bumblebee keeps on flying. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. And watch your character, because your character becomes your destiny. Don't be told to mind the gap. Don't go backwards. Tell people, no, don't tell people, show people what you can do and bring others with you. Corporate women don't need to mind the gap. Corporate women need to have an open mind. Thank you.